What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So it's another day, another week, and we have another public domain character getting ready to kick off its production into the horror space. This news just broke this morning, as you can see, just from the timestamp alone. It broke pretty early this morning. I believe this might have been Pacific Standard Time, 3:16 a.m. It might have been sooner. It might have been earlier than that, or later than that, depending upon where you're at. But for me, it was at 3:16 a.m. So as you can see from the headline here, indie horror flick Aladdin, the monkey's paw heads into production with cast including Ricky Norwood. So I would say, of all the public domain characters that are available, I did not anticipate Aladdin would be the next one we would hear about getting its own horror film. We're gonna read this here. I don't know if this is going to be part of the broader Pooniverse or there's another universe that has recently kicked off that we've reported on as well. So I don't know if it's going to be a part of either one of those, or if it's just going to be out there on its own. Hopefully this article will give us some insight. I also found another article on this this breaking news this morning as well. So we'll look at both articles, see if there's anything new in the second one that's not in the first one, and then we'll just round out I did look into some of the other public domain characters that are out there. I do have some that I'm a bit surprised haven't been looked at, one in particular, which we'll talk about at the end of this video. So again, indie horror flick Aladdin, the monkey's paw heads into production. So let's look at this article real quick. Exclusive: cameras start rolling next month in the UK on Aladdin, the monkey's paw, a new feature described as a dark supernatural re-imaging of the Aladdin story from Empire Studios, Every Entertainment, and Eighth Law Pictures. The film's synopsis read: a modern-day Londoner, Aladdin inherits an ancient monkey's paw believed to grant wishes, only to discover that every desire comes at a soul-crushing price. As those around him fall victim to its curse, he must confront a growing evil and the demonic force that feeds on every wish made. Production begins in late May 2025, with principal photography taking place in the UK. Let's see if there's anything further. So we have a little bit more down here at the bottom. The film stars Nick Sager, Ricky Norwood, Montana Manning, and Bradley Stryker, who also directs. DOP is Simon Stolland. The film is produced, so we have the various producers here. So we have a few quotes that we'll cover off on. Let's see here. We always want to explore horror through a personal lens, not just the scares, but the human cost of wishes, McDougall said of the film. This story's been haunting us for a while, and it's time to let it loose. The best horror films haunt you long after the credits roll. I would absolutely agree with that. So hopefully they can make a horror film that fits the bill on that one. That's what the story does. It's sharp, emotional, and full of dread in all the right ways. We're not just making another horror film. We're building a world around a truly iconic concept. The paw, the mythology, the characters, it's all there. Stryker added, this film will be so much fun. It's all about the peaks and valleys, the highs and lows of what we deem our dreams and desires, and then we slam that into a genre film in which the stakes have never been more diabolical and entertaining. And that's where this article ends off on. So this last bit, though, makes me wonder, where they say we're building a world around a truly iconic concept. The paw, the mythology, the characters, it's all there. I'm wondering, and I could be reading way too much into this last statement, or just could be how they just want to describe the film itself. But if they're going to be potentially building a world around this concept, could this just be one of many films that will follow this, where they're going to try and tie it all together, kind of like what we've seen Disney do with the MCU, what we see WB trying to do with the new DCU? Are they going to, who's ever running this, as far as who's taking the lead of these companies, whether it's Empire Studios, Every Entertainment, and Eighth Law Pictures, unless they're all just coming to an agreement to say, hey, here's the first film that's going to be kicking this thing off, and then they're just going to continue to just build upon the world that's created with this first film. And it'd be interesting. I mean, we're already seeing something of that nature happening with the Pooniverse. We do know we're supposed to get a Pooniverse Assemble film sometime this year where they're bringing a lot of these characters that have had their own their own standalone films and then bringing them all together into one, which, unless things have changed, we do know Peter Pan, the Peter Pan that was seen in the Neverland Nightmare film, is supposed to be the villain in this ensemble of all these characters brought together. So maybe this Aladdin pick is going to be doing something very similar. So we also have this other article that broke this morning as well, a little bit later than the other one. But again, as you can see, the Aladdin, the Monkey's Paw, the Aladdin story gets its own unofficial horror movie. So I'm just going to scan this real quick and see if there's anything new. Mentions the announcement over on Deadline, and that's the article we just looked at, the Deadline article. All this is the same as far as the studios involved. It's a modern day London, so we have the same synopsis, same list of actors, actresses, same quote, nothing new there. Let's see here. We have a little bit more down here. The classic Disney animated film Aladdin is based on the Arabic folktale from 1001 Nights, a collection of Middle Eastern folktales compiled in the Arabic language during the Islamic Golden Age. Much like Pooh and Steamboat Willie, that means Disney can't come after anyone who wants to do whatever the hell they want with the source material. Okay, so they might have a lot more leeway as far as the story goes, which is good, because a company like Disney, you know that they're going to, if it had anything to do with what they've done in the past, they would absolutely be coming in to stop this from happening. So that's the update we have on the upcoming Aladdin horror film. Now, what I was mentioning as far as public domain, I was looking at the list of public domain characters that Disney has out there. And one that I'm surprised we haven't seen yet, which I would love to see, is Ebenezer Scrooge. I think we've only gotten really the one Christmas horror film recently. I'm not saying ever, just recently, Terrifier 3. I think if someone were to come along and do an Ebenezer Scrooge horror film for Christmas time, very similar to what Terrifier 3 did, I think it could be very successful. It is one of those characters I'm surprised hasn't been touched yet from a horror perspective. I mean, the character itself, just in the classic tale, is not a very good person. So imagine flipping the script and making that a horror character where he doesn't eventually see good. He just continues to see bad and gets worse. So just a little thought out there about these public domain characters. That's one I would like to see. And maybe even a horror version of Sherlock Holmes. I would love to see a horror version of Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if he's necessarily owned by Disney, but I do know it's a public domain character. So that would be an interesting take as well. So, all right, everyone, that's going to do it for this horror news update. Again, Aladdin, the Monkey's Paw officially moves into production. We're getting a horror version of the Aladdin character, and we'll have to see what the story looks like. So drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the latest public domain character getting its horror take. Also, if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Peace.